cauliflower as things that fuck. I mean,
so those things fucked, but our main dish really fucked, and that was the whole roasted fish psalm. And so it was like a whole roasted fish. And the wild thing was they deboned the whole thing, but it was still whole when they brought it out. Like it was wild. Me and my sister and I, they were like, don't worry about it. We deboned it all, but it was a whole fish. It was crazy. I don't know how they did it. But anyway, so that was served with like this ginger scallion sauce, some tortillas, and some like lettuce wraps. And it had this like spicy crema sauce on the side, and it was fucking insane.
All right. So would that rank as 1B or number 2 on the dish? Like on your list of meals, like David Chang's goes right behind EMP, and then Superiority Burger. So all 3.
Yeah, I would say like they're all so different.
That's fair. I'm just trying to think catalog the distinctness that we have here on the fuck levels. Because if you just giving a 10 is a real amateur move,
right,
for any meal. So when you did that earlier, I excused it. But I mean, it's a decimal system, and for something to be an absolute 10, it's hard. So
that is true. I did get it. I was a little excited.
And I understand you had a big week, but I just want to warn you: if we have this issue again, we're going to have to pause the episode and re-go over the scale of like 10. It's like a Claudia shit,
Okay, so I would say like let's say that little like sloppy Joe type burger I had.
Plays.
So that was on par with like that was right around there. I'd rank that with like how good that cauliflower dish was.
Okay,
they were both really good.
All right.
And then I would say yeah.
Okay.
And then I would say like at 11 Madison Park probably that like what was it? The crab dish was like
an 8.9, a 9.1, something really up there.
Yeah. And the whole roasted fish was, I mean, it was seasoned well, like the just kind of different flavors in there. I would have to say like that was as good of a roasted whole fish as you can get.
So give it a number, like an 8.6, because a perfect 10 fish out there may be there. But
so I'm going to go with this. I'm going to give it an 8. But so this is the last kind of coming up on my last meal. My sister and I, we always finish off at Taverna Cloudy's in Astoria, and it's acclaimed. Like chefs from New York will go and eat there, and it's a Greek Mediterranean spot. There's always a wait, and it reminds me of like a seafood spot back home. It's like back in Mississippi,
like the Red Bar.
Yeah, something kind of
like
similar to that.
There's a wait to get in.
There's always a wait, but it moves fast. The Greeks are always eating there, and they have the freshest seafood, and it's just simply prepared, and it's a very casual spot. It's fucking great.
See, and those I feel like, when you get the fish that's like in like a basket with like the wax paper sheet underneath it, those are the places that you're like, the kind of like hole in the walls, but also like sleeper just dankness.
Yeah.
That's my jam. And that's kind of like what we like to, really pride ourselves on is highlighting those little hole in the walls. Like you mentioned the Rockaway Brewery and things of that nature. Folks know of the David Changs and the EMPs of the world. But when you stumble upon these little honey holes and you share them with the world, that's when your opinion becomes a lot more like, validated. Everybody can say that they like the Yankees,
Yeah.
But when you start cheering for like the Oakland Athletics or you find, the Billy Bean ball, that's kind of how that helps.
But I mean, like the funny thing is people know about this place. Like people will travel out to Astoria to go eat at this place.
And it's just in your sister's neighborhood?
Yeah. It's right off Astoria Ditmars Boulevard. It's fucking great.
Well, you don't have to tell people, once we get famous, people are going to start showing up at Martha's house, knowing where she lives.
Yeah.
You're just tipping your hand here.
And the fucking great thing about it is they serve bread right out to the table.
I'm a big bread guy.
I know. That's what, I was pretty pumped. And then they ask you if you want more, and they don't charge you for it. So, kudos. And when you order house wine, they bring it out in just like a little baby, like water jug, like little craft, like they'll put it on the table. It's old school. It's fucking great.
Now I'm okay with that, but that leads me to speculate as to not only what kind of wine it is, but also how long has that been just hanging out in that craft for?
I don't know. I mean, it's better than that box wine we always have at the house.
Okay, well, then that's what I was thinking it was just like box wine.
No, it could be, but they may church it up. I don't know.
You know, I love a good churching up with cheap shit.
Yeah. So this was the day after we had gone to the beach, so we were a little bit sunburnt and a little bit boozed up, and I don't know. So we just got a few kind of things. We always get the grilled octopus, and they bring out like, you get a large Greek salad.
How long was the wait?
We waited about an hour and 15 minutes.
Did you just hang out outside and make conversation with each other?
No, we swung across the street and had a drink.
All right, smart play.
Yeah.
I just was making sure you weren't one of those weird.
Actually, we had 2 drinks.
There you go.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah. And so we had this large Greek salad. It could feed a fucking family of 5 when they bring it out there. And it's just got like a block of feta and just everything on it.
Pepperoncinis and little
olives. Dude, there's probably like 10 or 12 pepperoncinis on there.
Holla at your boy.
Yeah.
I love some good salted shit like that.
Yeah.
All right. So we had some octopus, some salad. What was the coup de grace of that meal? The big guy was the fish?
I mean, the octopus is always fucking incredible, but there's this, you're a big potato guy too, but there's this kind of Greek staple, lemon potatoes, and I call them gold potatoes because they look gold, but they are fucking out of this world good. And I don't really know how they make them. I'm sure you can Google it and figure out a recipe, but
that's kind of your job as the stoned Appetit guy, is to
right. But I'm telling our listeners, give it a shot at home next time you're making maybe a Greek style meal or some fish. Fucking search for lemon potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Give it a shout.
That's a whirl. I like it. So it sounds like you had a pretty good 4th of July weekend. You ate well, you drank well, and you came back a little bit lightly tan, lightly burnt.
Yeah. I saw a play. So
what play did you see?
We went and saw, so the night we ate at Mama's.
Don't get into detail because I don't actually care. I'm just asking because that's part of the podcast.
Yeah. The night we went to Momofuku Sam, we went to Burn This. And so the only thing I'll say is that Adam Driver, it's weird seeing like an actor you've seen on screen, Star Wars.
The girls guy,
see him be a lead role in a play. And we were 4 rows back. So
was it cool?
Oh, it was fucking nuts. He's huge.
How big is this little place you went to go see the show?
It was a pretty big theater. I mean, it was an old one. It was like the Hudson Theater, so it was a little bit older. But I mean, yeah, us being 4 rows back, I felt like a boss. I had no idea we were that close.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I haven't ever caught a Broadway show, but that's not kind of my sitting still and being quiet are not 2 of my good traits.
But dude, they do musicals like the ones where they do like old bands and stuff,
I mean, I haven't caught one, but that's why it's always been like.
Like Billy Joel's one. What was it? Root. I don't know. I saw it back in college, but they just played Billy Joel hits.
I can get behind that. Yeah, shout out to our friends at Live Nation. Billy Joel coming up, Coors Field. I am going to fucking be there. I tried to get my parents to come out, and they told me to pound sand, but we'll get into that later. That's just classic Colorado action.
Yeah.
Okay, so you called a good show. We won't get into details about, I guess, what the show is about.
Got some ink.
Let's talk about that. So you went to Bang Bang Tattoos. For those that don't know, world-renowned tattoo parlor based out of New York. Mr. K, he travels around the world. That's his parlor. He has a team of all-stars. And you had this place booked out for a couple weeks, couple months?
You can book it out. I think you can work like 2 months in advance to book one. So, yeah, I started talking back and forth.
Got a little Colorado flair.
Yeah.
What's called? That may not be on ours, but that'll be on Chris's Instagram. It may be on ours. Who fucking knows? But it's pretty gnarly stuff, and it looks cool.
Yeah, it was the first tattoo I ever got, and I figured I'd do the whole experience. And like, it was wild going in there and seeing like people getting work done, and like some of these people. It's just nuts, And I'm sure it's like that everywhere. I'm sure there's fucking incredible artists here in Denver that do same good stuff, but it's just wild being my first time, like actually going through it and then watching. Like, it was fucking nuts.
It's cool, and they're addicting, so you're gonna want like tons of them more.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's how you say it, but thanks to our friends that live well, I can't speak properly anymore. So you came back with a little bit of perma gifts. You brought me nothing, which is kind of bullshit. I hope you wrote Jerry something. You know he's a big fan of bagels. But yeah, so it sounded like you had a good time.
I did. But it also sounds like you had a good time.
We did. So I stayed here. I was supposed to watch the dogs, but I didn't.
You did more of a Colorado thing than I did.
Yeah. So we'll shift gears here for the next couple of minutes of that. We'll recap mine. For those that are in the Colorado area that are listening, I just drove 8 hours north to like Yellowstone / Grand Tetons National Park. We hung out at Teton National Park. And have you ever been to Disney World?
Yeah, of course.
You know how it's just like from start to finish, there's always people everywhere. And you just got back from New York, and I've heard the same thing. There's just people everywhere, like everywhere.
Fanny packs?
It's not fanny packs. It's more so just folks taking pictures with families. Tourist bus full of people getting off, taking pictures, getting back on tour. It was so packed. So, like, if you can go from Colorado, drive 8 hours to Wyoming, like, we had a lot of Colorado plates up there. But it was advantageous because we all had the long weekend, you know?
Yeah, but do you think it would be different at a different time during the summer, or do you think it's just packed straight summer long?
So I went with some folks that have lived there in the summer times as well as have frequented back, and they say that it's at full occupancy like 95% in the summer. Like, so I don't think it was rare for me because when we go camping here in Colorado, we do things like we'll do like the 4th of July trail up near St. Mary's Glacier, or you go to Leadville on, like the Dream Stream, or, you can sneak up to Red Feather, and you're not as close to people.
Right.
We're talking, Chris, from the den wall to the kitchen wall, from being in somebody else's tent, like in their campsite. You can hear everything anyone else is saying, like, and there's cars everywhere. It's one in, one out. That's how you have to think of it. It's one in, one out. And it was fucking awesome.
Yeah. I want to see the fucking Tetons because I haven't been.
The Teats are great. And I don't know if they call them the Teats or the Tons or the Tetons or the Grand. They have individual names and I'm not familiar with it. I was only there for a couple of days. So I don't know, but they're awesome. You just stare at them for 4 days. You don't get sick of it.
And I think at No Vacancy, we'll call them the Teats. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to run with that. And we were calling them just about anything and everything. So, yeah, we went up to Jackson Hole. We did some hiking. We out in the Grand Teton National Park, which it was fun. We got to meet some cool folks from around the country and this is something we realized, and I may take advantage of it because most folks know I spend my weekends in town at a bar or doing something around town, is that's like a bucket list trip for families from there's folks from outside this country galore. And
yeah.
It's like these people are like getting this once in a lifetime trip. And I'm just up here because somebody convinced me to go on a long weekend. I was like, fuck it. So we were getting drunk and we rented a boat. I recommend that. Jackson Lake, the marina, Signal Mountain, I think. They have a marina and all this other jazz. You can get beer and food there as well. You just hop on a boat, take the dog out there, and you're just going to sit in the middle of the lake and you just drink all day. And then you come in and there's a little rock beach, which I think is similar to your rock beach, not comfortable to walk on, but you can step on it with shoes. And
aqua socks?
You could have aqua socks, or your casual Chacos or Tivas would play. But yeah, it's just a bunch of, I think they were folks that live in Jackson, but I don't know. Young folks hang out on the beach. And so we hung out with those folks. We did a hike. We saw some bears. A bear came to our campsite, and really it was more relaxing, but it's an 8-hour trek. So if you can if you don't work Fridays, if you can sneak out Thursday and take off Friday, then you have 2 days there. But it's fucking packed. But it's gnarly. Cool.
And yeah, apparently Jerry speaks bear.
Yeah, so Jerry made a friend the first day. A bear came to our campsite. I let Jerry out early in the morning because he's wrestling, and I'll just slowly get up, similar to what I do every day. And so while I was doing this the first morning, the neighbor to remember tents aren't far. He was like, "Yeah, did y'all see that bear this morning?" We were in the car driving. We were talking to him before we left, and we were like, "No, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a bear not 10 feet from your tent earlier this morning." I was like, "Shit." He's like, "Yeah, your dog just walked right up to him." And then they both went down next to the water and played. And I was like, well, God damn it. Kind of thought he was going to be one of the barkers, that would bark and alarm you. But it turns out Jerry is more of a, hey, I'll lead him away.
Well, when I got that text from you, I immediately thought of Baxter and Anchorman.